I have one regret about this film, and that is that Stan Lee isn't around to have been able to see it. Because he would have absolutely bloody loved the shit out of this film. I don't know how they're doing it. But they somehow just seem to be able to do this. You know, they're just naturals at it. They just seem to be able to introduce the characters and tell the story and do it gradually and make sense of everything. Even though we're going into the multiverse now and things are getting... You'd think... Well, this is my point. You'd think that it would be totally confusing with, you know, different universes and stuff. But it's not. I was able to follow this film 100%. No confusion whatsoever. Because I understood the reasoning for everything, and it just makes sense. It just makes perfect sense. It's not confusing at all. This film was absolutely fucking brilliant. Pretty much everything. Not flawless. I won't say flawless. There are a couple of bits here and there that were a bit iffy, but not terribly. I would certainly say that the majority of it was pretty damn perfect. Well, from the trailer, I'll try not to spoil too much at first here, but from the trailer, we know that this is to do with the multiverse, and this is to do with it picks up Spider-Man No Way Home. It picks up literally at the end of the last one, Far From Home, which is where J. Jonah Jameson was telling the world the identity of Peter Parker, the identity of Spider-Man is Peter Parker. It picks up literally from that point, and the whole world knows who Spider-Man is now. It's Peter Parker, and things kind of go a little nuts for Peter and for MJ and for Ned and for Aunt May, everyone involved with Peter's life, basically, and. And Peter's life gets a bit nuts, and it gets overwhelmed by it all. So we end up with a kind of is it Rumpelstiltskin kind of story? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the right character that I'm referring to, but like Shrek, where he makes the wish, and it's that kind of story that we're talking about here, at least at first. Where Peter goes to Doctor Strange, and he asks him to do this spell to make everyone forget that he's Spider-Man. But the spell goes wrong, as one would expect, and then we end up with a little bit of madness to do with different universes. Now, we know from the trailer that Doc Ock comes back, and yes, it's the Doc Ock from the Sam Raimi universe. And also, we see in the trailer that the Green Goblin, again from the Sam Raimi universe, comes back. That's exciting enough from the trailer. Like I've said in a previous video, we get a lot more in this film than we see in the trailer, and there is damn good reason why we don't see it in the trailer. So, what have we got? We've got the usual cast. They're back: Tom Holland, Zendaya, and oh damn, I've forgotten the actor who plays Ned. But they're all back, and it's all the usual comedy trio stuff. One-liners, and I just love the humor in the Spider-Man films. These home Spider-Man films. The way that the three of them just sort of bicker off each other is just so. There's a scene at the very beginning where Spider-Man, as I say, it picks up literally straight away after the news that he's Peter Parker is revealed. And he sweeps MJ up and carries her, and there's that wonderful, close-up shot of the two of them as they swing, and she's holding on to him really tightly. I love that shot. But he carries her away to safety from the crowd, because the crowd start doing their photo thing, get their phones out and take, and he immediately talks to Ned on the phone, and they just go, dude, dude. It's just I just love the relationship between him and Ned and him and MJ, and it's the chemistry between the three of them is just spot on. I love it. What else? We're seeing, we're getting into sort of grown-up territory here. We're no longer really looking at them as school kids anymore. There's talk about them moving on to college, the next phase of their lives. So it's definitely to do with that. It's to do with moving on, and it's to do with growing up and adulthood, making some adult decisions and that sort of thing, because a lot of adult decisions are made in this film, definitely, specifically from Peter, of course. So it's to do with that. I can't really talk much more about this without going into heavy spoilers. I liked it. I thought it was good. It's, what can I say about it without spoiling it? That's the thing I'm trying to think about. I'm going to look at my notes here, because I really don't know what to say about this film without spoiling it, because there are major spoilers here. The effects. Yeah, we've got the usual effects. Again, most of the effects come from things to do with spoilers, so I can't really go into. But the effects are good. Very, it's all the usual stuff. Nothing particularly new or groundbreaking here. It's just the usual Spider-Man swinging around the city and all that sort of stuff. What else? I genuinely am so stuck here as to what to say without giving the spoilers away. Because the thing is, most of it is about the multiverse and what happens and what comes through from other universes. We know. Okay, let's talk about Octavius and Goblin. Well, Octavius first, because he's the more obvious one, because we only get a kind of small glimpse of Goblin in the trailers, I think. But Octavius, obviously, we see a lot more of. Yes, it's Alfred Molina. I like Alfred Molina. I think he's a fine actor. Not that I've seen him in much. I've seen him in a few other things, and he's been fine. But yes, it's Alfred Molina. I heard that there are some... Going back to effects, what I just said about effects, I heard on researching before seeing the film that there was some digital stuff going on to make him look not necessarily younger, but fitter, more physically able. And let me tell you, if that was the case, it certainly didn't show. So if there was some CG effects going on with Alfred Molina, then I couldn't tell. It was very, very clean. That be the case with other characters that might come through from the multiverse. Because it's been, what was it? Was Spider-Man 2, it was 2002, 2003, is that right? So it's been quite a while, 20-ish years. So is that right? Yeah, that's right. Sorry, numbers, not very good numbers. So yeah, his performance is very good. What can I say? We've seen it before. It's the same. It's the same Doc Ock that we saw in Spider-Man 2, because it is the same one. So yeah, his performance is good. He has the same kind of menacing short temper that Doc Ock has from his, because of course the arms. There's this weird thing which the weird thing where he apparently talks to them and they talk to him. I've always kind of liked the idea that his version of Doc Ock, the arms are kind of like sentient snakes that kind of look at him and talk to him and stuff. So that's kind of cool. I like that in this Doc Ock. So yeah, we got all that going on. Yeah, one thing I did like. I don't think this is I don't think this is a major spoiler. It's not in the trailer. Okay, I'll just give you a little warning. There's a tiny spoiler coming up here. It's not a plot ruining spoiler though. It's just a character that's been brought in. Now, this is a bit interesting for me, which I'll get into in a minute. But I haven't seen the Netflix series of Daredevil yet. None of it. However, Matt Murdock makes an appearance in No Way Home at the very beginning. And it's, again, this is what I said at the beginning. It makes perfect sense. This is just, as far as I'm concerned, this is damn near genius what the MCU are doing here. Because it makes perfect sense that Matt Murdock would make an appearance. Because at the very beginning, as I say, because Peter's identity, the Spider-Man identity has been revealed, that means that there is some law stuff going on. There's some lawsuit stuff going on. He gets arrested. Pete gets arrested. So does MJ and Ned and Aunt May. They get questioned. I don't think they get arrested, but they get taken into custody or whatever it is. They get questioned anyway by the police about things that have happened in the past. And of course, that means that Peter is going to need legal representation. And guess who we get? We get Matt Murdock. I knew who it was. As I say, I haven't seen a Netflix series, but I knew who it was, obviously, because I'm familiar with what he looks like, the glasses, the cane, and everything. And so I knew it was Matt Murdock before anyone even said anything. But what a brilliant way of bringing in yet another character. They just keep doing this. They keep doing this beautifully, bringing in characters. They don't do what the DC universe did, which is just bring in characters left, right, and centre for no particular reason, just because they can. Marvel actually are bringing in these characters gradually, as and when required. Peter needs legal representation. Let's bring in a lawyer, Matt Murdock. Perfect. So now Daredevil, well, not officially yet, I don't think, but so now Daredevil's going to be a part of the MCU. It certainly seems that way. So that's going to be interesting. I need to see the Netflix series of Daredevil. I'll tell you something else that I quite liked, and I was hoping for this when I saw Far From Home. Because there's a scene towards the end of Far From Home when Peter kind of gets, in a way, he kind of gets bequeathed some of Tony Stark's technology. So there's that wonderful scene where there's music playing and he sort of, he creates a new spider suit and he becomes kind of the new tech whiz, the new kind of Tony Stark-ish character. And I was hoping when I saw that scene, I thought, I hope we see some more of that. And we do. We do quite a bit, actually. We do get to see more of Peter as Tony, in a way. We do get to see more of the tech whiz Peter Parker, which is what he's supposed to be anyway, right? He's supposed to be this really smart, young kid who's able to dabble around with science and tech, right? And he can build stuff. I think in the original comics he builds the web shooters, doesn't he? Which he did in some versions of Spider-Man. This one, I think he did, yeah. So yeah, we do see more of that. There's a clever part. There's actually a clever sequence. We know that Doctor Strange is in this because he's involved with what happens with the multiverse. So Doctor Strange is in this. Benedict Cumberbatch, as always, gives a good performance. His accent is getting better. His American accent, I think he gets a little bit better every time we see Doctor Strange. Because in the first Doctor Strange film, it's very sort of House MD. It's very sort of overpronounced. But this time, it seems, every time I see Doctor Strange, he seems to get more natural with it. So I guess that's just, experience. Anyway, yes, he's in it. And his performance is great. He's in it quite a bit. But there's a sequence, again, this isn't really spoilerish. I won't say why, not yet anyway. But there's a sequence halfway in the film where Doctor Strange and Peter, they kind of have a tussle, a fight. And they go into the mirror dimension, that dimension that Doctor Strange conjures up, where he can control pretty much everything in the environment. But there's a clever thing where, because of how smart Peter is supposed to be, he's supposed to be this shall I go as far as saying genius? He's not a genius exactly, but he has an understanding of science and technology, and he understands how it all works. Physics. He understands the physics of most things. So when they're fighting in the mirror dimension, Peter is able to understand what's going on as far as the physics goes. So he's able to come up with a way of actually fighting against Doctor Strange, and he's able to sort of, instead of Doctor Strange controlling everything in the mirror dimension, Peter's actually able to fight back with his understanding of how the mirror dimension works. That's quite clever. That's a quite interesting way of bringing the sort of sciencey, the tech whiz that Peter's supposed to be. That's a clever way of using it against a wizard, as it were, because they say that there's that old saying, that magic is basically science that people don't understand. Well, what if someone did understand it? That's explored a bit in this film, which I thought was quite good. By the way, what's happened to Karen? you know who I'm talking about? The voice that Peter had in the Spidey suit in Homecoming. Jennifer Connelly, have I got that right? What happened to Karen? I don't recall the last time. I think, was she in? Has she been in anything since Homecoming? Was she in Endgame, Infinity War, Endgame? Was she in Far From Home? She certainly wasn't in this one. So I've always sort of wondered since Homecoming, what's actually happened to Karen? I know that the suit has changed as we've gone along, which is fair enough. But Iron Man's suit's changed, and he still had Jarvis, and then Friday. So I don't. Was Karen supposed to have been written off or something? Anyway, that was just a passing thought that I had when I was watching this film. Because he does talk to it. There are a few voices coming from his suit, but they're male, they're not Karen. So I kind of kept thinking to myself, where's Karen? Why isn't he talking to Karen? That's just something I thought of. Unless I missed something there. Did he get rid of Karen, or did he sort of upgrade her to something else? I kind of liked the relationship that he had with Karen. I love that scene in Homecoming where he's trapped inside the thing and he's talking to Karen. So yeah, I was just wondering what happened to Karen. It's weird. I think this film also it kind of has two purposes. This film, the first one goes into spoilers, which I'm not going to get into yet. But the second purpose this film has, I think, is as a kind of lead-in to the Multiverse of Madness, because this film definitely has quite a bit to do with Doctor Strange. As I say, he's in it quite a bit. There's a kind of section in the middle where he kind of isn't in the film for a bit, then he comes back. But this is definitely to do with his actions, and definitely to do with be careful what you wish for, and it's definitely to do with the consequences of his particular actions. Yes, it's Peter that asks him to do this thing for him to get people to forget that he's Spider-Man. But it's him that does it. It's Strange that does the spell. So there's a lead in. Actually, I think it's the first time that after a credit sequence, they didn't actually show the usual scene that would lead into the next film or the next film after the next film. It's actually a trailer. It kind of without a title, but it's more like a trailer. At the end of the title sequence, the credit sequence, it's basically a trailer for the Multiverse of Madness that's coming next year, so basically that is Doctor Strange dealing with the consequences of this film, No Way Home, because he casts a spell that brings in these characters from other universes, and I don't know what's going to happen in Multiverse of Madness, but it looks like he's going to be dealing with certain consequences from following on from what happens in this film. What else? Again, I don't know what else to talk about other than the spoilery things that happen. I'll tell you one thing. This, I don't know if I should go as far as saying it's like the best out of the three. I think it is. I'd go as far as saying it's the best out of the three. The home films, the three that they've done, because I think this is confirmed to be an official trilogy. And this film definitely does feel like the end of that trilogy, without a doubt. And it certainly feels like that trilogy has now closed. And if and when Tom Holland's Spider-Man returns in some way, I really don't think they'll be doing another home film. I think they'll be going a very different route if we see him again. It's not going to be for plot reasons, which is spoiler territory again. It can't be the same kind of film in the future. So if Spider-Man does come back, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I mean, in the MCU, it's going to be different. It's going to have to be. But I think that's a good thing. It could be a good thing. So I hope that we do see him again. He's getting, of course, it's the usual story. We're all getting, everyone's getting older. You can't play a school kid forever. But it's called Spider-Man. So it was great. I was on the edge of my seat for a lot of it. The plot was okay. Some of it seemed a little bit maybe forced, like maybe they were just trying to find some reason to bring these characters back and to keep them here, because there is an opportunity pretty much throughout the entire film. There's an opportunity to simply send them back to where they came from, but they kind of came up with a kind of reason to keep them in the film in the MCU universe. I just did a tautology, didn't I? Because the U stands for universe, but you know what I mean. They kind of came up with it's a little bit weak. It's a bit of a weak reason to keep these characters, where they are, and not to send them back straight away. It's fine. It works for this particular character of Spider-Man, this particular version. It works, but it seems a little bit sort of forced. But it's fine. It's doable. It's doable. But there's a chance at pretty much any moment in the film where they could just literally push a button and the characters go back to their and then the story would be over. But of course, there's a reason why they can't push the button. They have to stay here because there's reasons. I need to do X, Y, and Z first and all that, which is fine. It was just great to see the characters back. I really think I need to go into spoiler territory here now. I don't know if I'll be doing it on a separate video or not. But what else? I'll just have one last check before I go into spoilers here. I was going to start off with this. The acting. Very, very good. I would go I think, regardless of whether or not this film is the best out of all three of them, the acting in this is beautiful. It's beautifully done, and I personally think it's the best acting that we've seen out of the three of them. The three of them being Tom Holland, Zendaya, and forgive me, I've forgotten the actor's name who plays Ned. But all three of them, their acting is perfect, beautiful. It gets very emotional for a lot of the film. Again, regarding spoilers, it gets very emotional, and the acting from all three of them is sublime. It's the best acting I've seen from all three of them in all of these films so far. Tom Holland in particular, his acting here, I think, is better than what we see in Infinity War and Endgame. Because, of course, in Infinity War and Endgame, we see there's a lot of emotion there because he blips, and we see that, I don't want to go, Mr. Stark. That was great. That was great acting, don't get me wrong. But this, I think, is way better. He gives all three of them give such genuine, heartfelt emotion. And you see how much these characters love each other, how Peter and Ned love each other as friends, and how Peter and MJ feel about each other. We really get to see MJ, Zendaya's version of MJ. I mean, this darker kind of, who cares kind of attitude that she has. But this time we get to see her open up a bit more. She smiles a bit more. She tears up a bit more. She's a bit more human, I guess you could say, in this one. But as I say, the acting from all three of them, well, the acting from everyone really, but particularly those three, beautifully done. I think everyone gives it their all in this one. I was getting kind of emotional at one point for a reason which I will give in a moment when I go into spoilers. Is there anything else before I go into spoilers? Because these are major spoilers. I don't think so. Okay, guys, I don't know if I'll be putting this into a separate video, but I'm going to go into spoilers now. So if it's in a separate video, go and check it out. If it's not, then just stick around because we're going into spoilers now.